We're pretty much going to do a continuation about a continuation.
What are we doing?
Rafi's tips for artists because he loves you.
Hola, you amazing artists. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about how to engage people when you are a shy artist. I know that that's a big, scary thing. How do you talk to people when you just feel so shy and introverted? And I think it's a subject that we need to talk a little bit more about.
I agree. The struggle is real, people.
Struggle is real. If you feel like you're a shy person, just engaging out in the world is scary, but engaging out in the world of the pretentious like art world, that could be absolutely terrifying. I know it was terrifying for me the first time that I was going out into the art world. So we're going to cover in this video ways to talk to people, whether or not you go to an art exhibition, whether or not you're showing your art at a show, just a whole nine yards on different ways that maybe you could open up a conversation if you needed to.
The Cliff's Notes on how to survive the social art world.
Yeah, the social art world. All of the social art world. So in order to help you navigate, I got the help of an article that talks about what it is that you should do when when you're talking about art.
These are my favorites when you find these tremendously helpful articles online.
So the first thing that they mention is to steal comments from art reviews that describe artwork. So all those hoity-toity art reviews that use big words and aren't really saying much of anything, use those, memorize those, and describe artwork using those terms.
You know what my problem is I would need to carry note cards for some of those stuffy art reviews.
Do you have any?
It should be added that the disjunctive perturbation of the purity of line verges on codifying the distinctive formal juxtapositions.
That's a real thing?
That's a mouthful.
Oh my. Yeah, just memorize those. I mean,
No
if
sweat.
you said that to me, I'd be like,
You're probably right. Actually, I have something pretty cool that I found on the internet, and it might be the most useful thing for the art world that the internet has ever generated. Yeah, if you don't want to steal actual art critiques, I found this instant art critique phrase generator by Pixmaven. So basically what you do is you enter any 5-digit number, click the Create Art Critique button, and you have your stuffy art commentary ready-made. Would you like to hear a couple?
Oh, art critiques. Let's do it.
Okay. Although I'm not a painter, I think that the mechanical mark-making of the spatial relationships brings within the realm of discourse the essentially transitional quality.
What does that even mean? I'm going to give it, what is it, 5-digit code? So let's do 56153.
I think that the iconicity of the sexual signifier makes resonant the remarkable handling of light.
That website is brilliant, you guys. I'll put that website in the description below. And then you could, if you're having a hard time writing a critique about your own work, you could just pull that up, because that's pretty much what people in the art world do whenever they're giving those stupid reviews that they give. Or you could just read reviews because, you want to know what the reviews say and you want to come up with your own opinions. I think I mentioned that in the last video. The other thing that it mentions is that you can compare art to a musician. If you're gonna BS your way through understanding a work of art, you might as well use references that are going to confuse other people, especially if you use obscure musicians.
Oh, I have a great one.
What is it?
This one has the same undulating tonality as Florence Foster Jenkins' Queen of the Night aria.
I love Florence.
Oh man, I love me some Florence too.
Lee actually had the Florence Foster Jenkins ringtone on her phone for a while.
Yeah, and it actually was Queen of the Night aria.
That story to me is like, you know what? Put yourself out there no matter what, because life is way too short to not do it. In actuality, what I would say is, instead of just using random music to describe something, is when you're looking at a piece, if you could find some song or some music that would help you describe the story of the piece, and that's how you use it to reference it, that's great. But I mean, you could use music, you could use poetry, most likely to describe the feeling that you get from it, not the technicality. A lot of artists talk about the technical skills that it took to create what they created. Talk about what the piece makes you feel, especially if it's an abstract, even if it is a cartoonish piece. I have my series of Love Is that are these little cartoon characters that say the words, say what it means on there, and those pieces make me feel something. They make me feel happy, they make me feel whatever it is that the message that I'm putting in that piece means. It doesn't ever have to be this deep, meaningful, world-changing thing. It just has to have some kind of feeling to you, and that's what I would use to describe your pieces or when you're talking about someone else's art at an art reception. The other thing that the article tells me is to disagree with everyone. If anybody's like, oh, I love that piece, just be like, I don't know.
Yeah, and then you can follow that up with your random phrase generator.
Yes!
The art
Yes!
review.
I do not concur because
The metaphorical resonance of the fracture spatially undermines the distinctive formal juxtapositions.
that's so bad. What does that even mean?
No one's gonna know, but they also can't argue with you.
Yeah, that's true. They'll have no idea what you're saying.
Look, and if you meet someone who actually gets that and argues a point back, just run.
Okay, honestly, it is better to just speak from the heart. Like I was talking about feeling and stuff like that. That's really what it comes down to. You don't need to use big fancy words. You don't need to use the right descriptors to describe a piece. Just talk about how it makes you feel. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you say, it doesn't really speak to me. There's this terrifying thing that it's not only for artists, but other people are afraid to talk about art because they think that the conversation needs to be this complicated conversation, and it doesn't. Art is all about feeling. It's what does it make you feel? Does it make you feel anything? If it doesn't, then it's not speaking to you. But if it makes you feel something, then that's what you talk about. You talk about what it makes you feel, not whatever that was.
I can generally be found at art shows saying things like, ooh, I like the texture in this one a whole lot.
Yeah, and if anybody has an issue with that, if anybody's like, that's not how you talk about art, I'd be like,
dang.
I blurred it out, it's fine. If you are very shy, is to dominate every conversation that takes place. In fact, dominate the entire space with what you have to say and how important it is that you have to say it. I know a bunch of shy people are like,
I was just about to say that particular snippet of advice is exactly the opposite of what anyone
but that's what it's saying in there, Dominate them with your intellectual mumbo jumbo blow.
And then follow it up by being like, ha ha! And if they come back at you with a response, just run.
Run. There's so many reasons to run at art shows.
There's always a reason to run.
Really what it comes down to, don't dominate the conversations. Just listen, learn, have a good time. Talk about what it is that you feel. Let the conversation move back and forth and spend a lot of time just listening. I mean, having a conversation with somebody doesn't mean that everything that you speak has to be like brilliant.
Yeah, nobody likes an over boisterous fluffmonger anyway.
Yeah, no over boisterous fluffmonger. A lot of people are afraid of silent space, like that dead silence. That dead silence is allowed because you are usually looking and contemplating at art. Don't worry about having to keep the conversation going or anything. Just stopping and looking at artwork, whether it's your artwork or you're at a reception, that's part of the conversation as well.
Yeah, and if someone's talking at you, you can be like, shh.
Yeah.
I'm trying to feel this art.
The other thing that it says here is that you could go in and be like, art is just so commercial these days, and have that attitude.
Ugh, I tire of the commercialism.
Oh, God. There are a few artists that I've run into over the years that will say that, like, art is so commercial now, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude, art has been commercial since art has existed. It's about making it yours, making it your career, and not living by that standard of like, I'm a real artist because I'm suffering all the time.
Yeah, that's so weird because even the old masters that stuffy artists like to refer to had patrons.
Yeah.
That's how they survived.
They had patrons. They made some money. That's why they were able to work on their art and just focus on their art. And I'm sure that I'll get comments on here of people like, well, real artists, blah, blah. Put yourself out there. Hopefully I don't get backlash from that.
Oh,
People are
you'll
gonna be
get the
like,
backlash.
I hate you, Rafi. The next thing is to say this is so and insert a word from a different language there. So you would say,
it has a certain je ne sais quoi.
je ne sais quoi, magnifico.
Magnifico.
Yeah.
Or you could say, this has an air of eau de toilette.
I want you to describe one of my paintings like that at the next art event that we do. Challenging Clee, she's gonna do it at the next art event.
I'm not really sure that this is going to further my art career.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. That'll work. That'll work. I actually kind of agree with this, especially if it is part of your modus operandi to have like those words like je ne sais quoi or like that's fantastico or whatever like that or brilliant. Whatever word it is that is your word, even if it is from a different language, yeah, I would totally use it as a descriptor for art. Now, if you are saying it because you are trying to make an impression on them, like to make it seem like you're mysterious or cultured, then don't do it for those reasons. Do it because it's part of who you are. Most importantly with that one is to use words that you mean. You know, just use words that you mean, whether or not they're in Spanish or French or whatever language, Italian, or in English, just use words that you mean to describe the art. If you're shy at events, just know that no matter what, just keep it light. It doesn't have to be a serious conversation. If it does evolve into a much more deeper, serious conversation, that's great. But just keep it light.
Definitely be yourself because anything else is going to be exhausting and horrible.
Yeah, just be yourself because it's too much work to try and be someone else. The other thing is, before the event, I would avoid the label of calling yourself a shy person. You know, like how long have you been calling yourself a shy person? If you identify with that, it just makes things a little bit more scary. And it doesn't mean that just overnight you're not going to be shy, but if you get ready to go to an event without giving yourself that label and say like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to have a conversation with one or two people, or I'm just going to talk to people that I'm interested in talking to. I don't have to be this huge extrovert, but I also don't have to identify with just being a shy person who's going to be off in a corner somewhere scared to talk to anybody. Sometimes I go into an event and I feel like talking to people. Sometimes I go into an event and I don't feel like talking to anybody. Most importantly, remember, before you're doing an art show or a reception where you are going to engage in conversation with people, remember that your imagination, if you are scared to do it, your imagination is going to run through worst case scenarios in your mind. In all honesty, take a look at those images, those things that you're afraid of, and use them as an opportunity to practice what you would say in that situation. And what that'll do is it'll help you to be more prepared for the situation. If you're too shy or you're too afraid to talk to somebody, it's because you're playing some script in your mind and you're trying to avoid having those interactions. When you're playing that script in your mind, just play it out. It's to your advantage. Whatever it is, just use your imagination for good. Your imagination is a great power, but if you don't keep it in check, it could work against you. And that's usually what makes going out to events and talking so scary, is that your imagination has taken over. So use your imagination. Don't let your imagination use you. That's all I think I have. You have any more advice for anybody who's shy in doing an event?
Keep it simple. Don't be afraid to say things like, oh yeah? Well, I like it.
That's a lot of my conversation. Yeah, I like it.
I like it.
Hopefully you found this helpful. I really hope you found this helpful. If not, whatever. And if you have any questions for us, just leave those in the comments section below. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. You guys are absolutely freaking amazing. I totally adore you. And if you like this and watch more videos like this, you click right over here to subscribe. And that's it. Say goodbye, Clee.
Au revoir.
Or adios.
Total awesomeness.